Hey everybody, and welcome back to my weekly reading vlog. It's Saturday night at 9:30 at night because it is just that kind of week. So here's the thing. I didn't actually finish anything in the first half of the week, and then I got to the second half and all of my filming time just kind of went away. And so it's going to be one of those weeks where we get a one update. So let's go. First up, I finished Murder of Crows by Anne Bishop, the second book in the Others series. I picked this up after I started Abedins Gate and quickly realized actually I needed a break from those kinds of books that were really, really plot heavy. And especially after the last two books I read last week, which was Devil in the Device and Minecraft the Mountain, which were like not my cup of tea really. Like Minecraft the Mountain was just not for me, and then Devil in the Device just was a huge disappointment because it just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. And so I realized I read the first chapter, the prologue in the first chapter in Abedins Gate, and I was just like, oh no, I need a break from this kind of stuff. And so I actually picked up Murder of Crows because I had wanted to continue the other series pretty quickly, and I love the characters and character development. I knew this would be a very happy read for me. So, Murder of Crows is the second book in the Others series, which is an adult urban fantasy series where we are following our main character of Meg Corbin, who is a blood prophet. Basically, you cut her skin and she speaks prophecy. She lives in a world that is Earth, essentially, but instead of humans being the dominant species, the Terra Indigene are. They're also known as Earth natives, the others, shapeshifters, all of those names apply. And in this particular book, we're actually following a plot line that was laid, like some hints were laid down in the first one. So in the first book, written in red, there were mentions of this drug that kind of appeared out of nowhere. It was like a very minor plot point, that plot thread throughout the book, that there was this drug that was coming out of nowhere, and like it was really affecting people and nobody could figure out where it was coming, what it was, where it was coming from, kind of thing. And in this book we are going to be figuring all of that out. So this is a reread. I have read it, I don't even know how many times. Goodreads says 8. This is my 8th read. But with this reread of the series, I really am focusing more on just really wallowing in the parts that I like and kind of skimming the stuff that I don't love as much, so that it's much more of so that I can just really enjoy it, really, because like I said, some of the books that I've been reading haven't quite been hitting the mark in the way that I want them to, and so this is just like, remember, books are good and you love them. And so yeah, so that's why I read this particular book, and it was great. I love these books so much. The world building is phenomenal. The character development is also great, and I I really like them. So this one is a 5-star book for me. I will note that there are content warnings, obviously for self-harm, but also for discussion of past rape. There is no description of what exactly happened, but I mean, there's allusions to it happening present day, as well as mentions of it happening in the past. So just be very aware of that. And there are probably other content warnings to be aware of, but those are the ones that I noticed when I read this book. So yeah, it was great. So then, now we're on to the books that I'm currently in the middle of, and that is Abedins Gate and Protect the Prince. So we're going to start with Abedins Gate by James S.A. Corey, the third book in the Expanse series, which is this huge science fiction series. It's a adult science fiction series that has this huge, like, sprawling storyline, and world building and everything. Honestly, it's adult epic fantasy, but science fiction. It is so interesting. But in this particular one, the alien, I guess, a artifact would be the right word, that has been kind of, everybody's been keeping an eye on, is now doing something weird. So everybody, Earth, Mars, the Outer Planet Alliance, they all want to figure out what exactly this alien artifact is doing and why. So I really do like these books, but they're not exactly my typical fare, so they do tend to take a little bit more effort to read. So it's like there's the plot is always really fascinating. At least it was in the first two books, and I'm finding that it's shaping up to be something similar in this particular book as well. I'm only on page like 102. So right now we're just laying the foundation, but I can see that it's probably going to end up being a really fascinating storyline again. The characters are probably where I struggle the most partially because they're not amazingly well developed, and there are so many of them. So, like in the first book, we had two different perspectives, and those were our main characters, and they had like their little cast of characters around them. And then in the second book, we had four different perspectives, and only one of which was the same perspective that we had in the first book. And again, they had all their cast of characters around them too. And now in this book, we also have four different perspectives, and only one of them has ever appeared in this series. So there's a lot of characters to keep track of, and I just really want someone to be like, hey, this person's important. This person is not, so that I'm not focusing all my energy trying to keep track of characters that are basically one-off characters. So that's kind of like, and especially because, by the way, because they're so, they are fairly underdeveloped, like they kind of bleed into each other to some extent. And so, yeah, that's the one thing that I really haven't enjoyed as much about this series. So it does take effort to like keep track of the little bits and pieces about the storyline, because I know it will come together at the end, and then also like keep track of the characters because, whew, oh boy. But the one thing I will really commend this book on is that the writing is really easy to read. Like it's just the way the sentences are put together. Like it's really not trying hard to be. I mean, it's hard sci-fi, but it's not really trying to use higher vocabulary or like really complex sentence structures. It's just like enjoy a hard sci-fi story, and I really appreciate that. So yes, I'm 100 pages in. We're just building up the foundation for this story. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with all the different characters. Also, I will say one of the other things that I know is going to be a problem with this book for me personally, very personal problem, right, is that one of our perspective characters is fundamentally against and trying to destroy another one of the perspective characters. Which I'm just like, I hate being in those kinds of characters' perspectives. But okay, we'll make it work. So yeah, there we are. The way that I am making it work is actually by also reading Protect the Prince by Jennifer Estep. So Protect the Prince is the second book in an adult epic fantasy trilogy, and we're following our main character of Evie, who is in the first book was a royal, but like 17th in line for the throne, and then the crown princess massacres like everybody, the whole royal family, including her mother, so that she can take the throne, but Evie manages to survive. Now, in this particular book, Evie has come back to court, and she is trying to cement her place in that court and also prepare for an upcoming trip that is a diplomatic mission to a neighboring kingdom to kind of put together a new alliance and smooth ruffled feathers, because during that massacre, a bunch of their people died as well, and they kind of hate Evie's kingdom for it. So that is what she is trying to do in this one. And I am about, let's see, I am 60 pages into this one, and it is so good. Like, and the thing is, the way that I'm dealing with this is that I read 25 pages in Abedins Gate. I get to read one chapter in Protect the Prince, and it's turning out to be actually an excellent incentive because this jumped right into the action. It's also the writing style is just so easy to read. And I really like Evie as a character. She occasionally just makes those choices that you wish characters would make in like a big kind of brilliant way, and I really appreciate it. It's not amazing in the way that like really well written plot points are, I guess I should say. Like it definitely could be better, but also it's like not done enough, and it's definitely enjoyable to read. And honestly, that's kind of where I land with these books so far. Is it's not groundbreaking, it's not literature. It's not like not the you could nitpick these things to death, but they're just fun to read. And so, yeah, like I am already 60 pages in. I'm digging it. I really want to keep reading. So I read more in Abedins Gate, which is great because the first like 200 to 300 pages of Abedins Gate is likely to be fairly slow, putting the pieces in place, switching between these perspective characters, and just a little bit harder for me to read. So knowing that I have a reward waiting for me in the form of a chapter in Protect the Prince does actually make me want to read Abedin's Gate even more. So, yeah, that's what I have been reading. I finished Murder of Crows. I have made steady progress in Abedin's Gate and Protect the Prince. And these are the two books that I will be reading next week. I don't expect them to take all week, although famous last words, right? And so we shall see how things go. I probably will finish both of these books pretty quickly. Like the timing of it, I think is going to work out that I should finish both of these like one right after the other. So we'll see what I decide to pick up after that. But those are the books I'm in the middle of. And that is it for this update. So if you have any thoughts or feelings about the things that I've been reading, please leave me a comment down below. Like this video if you liked it. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!